Hello, welcome again to our coding in Python class. So today we are going to cover the control flow statement chapter. It's also known as if-else statement, I would say. And so to start with, we are going to learn with program flow. So far we have learned about variables and different types of variables, numbers and strings, and so on. So everything we have done so far has been kind of sequential. Like if we are having our program and we are writing our different codes, lines of code, what is really happening within the interpreter is that it is kind of step by step, where the first line, for example, executes, then move to the next line until all the program is done. So these are the scripts that we looked at so far, and where it's kind of we just consider one line at a time, okay? And there is a lot of programming keywords that we'll have to jump around. So it's like sort of jumping around in different parts of the code, and this is what we are going to see today. So an example is flowchart, which is frequently used to describe how code works. So we frequently represent the code using diagrams like this one, for example. Okay, and it's not something that I am going to go through in this class. I'm just trying to incorporate different learning types where, for example, some people are visual and they maybe learn well using this kind of graphs and this type of representations. And also, I know that some other people probably just have dived into the details and they love to go through things like coding line by line. So I want to make sure that all learning types are included here. So for example, let's say I want to write a program, but I have some decision to make, okay? And at some point, I probably need to ask the question, yes or no, okay? So this is mainly if we have a decision and we will decide whether to go for some path or to a completely different path. Like for example, I would ask myself at a given point, is it raining? And here, what will be the possible answers? Whether yes, it is raining or no, okay? So if it is yes, then I am going to go to the branch. If probably I can go more, I can have more questions and so on. And in this case, we are going to the branch to the right, okay? So if it's no, probably I am then going to go in probably different direction. And here we are going down in this diagram, okay? So that's an example of decision block, okay? And here we can see we have different questions, not only one question. Okay, we have mainly 3 questions, and I am asking, and then if it is yes or no, it depends on the response, which path are we going to choose. So if, for example, it is raining now, I would say we are going in this path. Then what will happen? I have a second decision to be taken. And now, is it raining? Yes. Then do I have an umbrella, for example? And then in having umbrella also, here we are stuck inside another question, I would say, and we can say, yes, I have umbrella, or no, I do not have an umbrella. And okay, so it depends. So if, for example, yes, I have an umbrella, then I can go outside, okay? If, for example, no, I don't have an umbrella, so in this case, we are going, like I was mentioning, in a completely different branch, okay? And here probably we are taking kind of a decision, okay? And for taking decision or having this kind of questions, then we use what you can see here visually is diamonds, okay? And however, here we do use different shape, which is the rectangles, and they are what you do. So rectangles, they represent actions, I would say, okay? And then, for example, if I have no umbrella, and then I'm going to take some action, probably I will be stuck in some loop while, okay, while loop, sorry. So I'm going to wait for a while, keep waiting, keep waiting, keep waiting, until probably something is going to change. The answer for this question is going to change to no, then I can go outside. If it's not changing, then I am stuck within this loop. Okay, so mainly this is the idea. And okay, mainly also you can see these ovals over here. So it's when to start and when to end. Okay, so also I would say even that you can see probably at a given like chart, or it's kind of a representation of your idea that you are going to implement as your algorithm. So here mainly you see, even you can see probably many diamonds, but all the time there is two ways here. In this case, it's whether yes or no. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So that's an example and of visual illustration of the, like, if we have the diamond and the question, I would say we have the yes and no. So yes and no, in this case, they are an example of a Boolean value. And so just I don't know if you met this before. We talk about the Boolean logic, and there are different types of logics in this world. They exist like fuzzy logics and many other advanced logics. Now we are going only to treat the Boolean logic. And so, for example, a Boolean value, which is can only take two possible values. Okay, so it is whether like true or false, which it means that 0 or 1. Okay, so it can be either true or false, and the reason mainly we use this is like mainly if we want to make a decision. Okay, so for example, I can have a variable, and in this case, for example, my variable is raining. Okay, and is raining in this case can take whether true or false. So here we can have it's true. Okay, so if it's not raining, for example, outside, maybe I can go further for a decision. But we are not talking about that diamonds and moving on with the decisions. Now we are talking about this like variables. Variable type is Boolean. This Boolean can take whether true or false values. Okay, and the reason that I want to create a variable like this is mainly because I want to make a decision based on that value. Okay, and if, for example, is raining is true, I'm going to the right. If is raining is false, I am going down in that chart we've seen before. So if we are going to follow that like visual representation during this example as well, it's this idea. Okay, so this is for Boolean variable. Also, some common errors when you are like mainly dealing with this type of I would say Boolean variables, you can do low case, like for example for T. Look, you see this true, it starts with T. Sometimes while writing your code, you just write it lowercase. In this case, you can have an error. Also for false as well. If you write the little f as well, it can have some problems, okay? Because Python is, as I mentioned before, is a case sensitive language. So you might get errors for this reason. You make sure that for true and false, for this Boolean like values, they must be first like or I would say the F and T are capitalized. Okay, and also some people get probably confused and put single or double quotes, which means before we seen I have variable equal, I'm giving to that, assigning some value to that variable. So if I'm going to use the quotes here, which means is raining is equal to true with that quotes, then is in this case it is going to be interpreted as a string. Even if you are going to print this variable, what you can see is like the word true. You cannot see like if it's the Boolean, and we can make decisions based on that later, because later we will see that we will compare, we will decide, and we will use that and so on. So be careful not to make the double or single quotes. Expect if you want to print to the screen true or false, that is a different like scenario. Okay. Mainly, this is what I was talking about in the previous slide, is that like we can use this like Boolean variables to do a lot of different comparison. And when I talk about comparisons, that happens between like these Boolean like variables, okay? And so similar exactly to algebra, I have equal to, I have less than, I have greater than, or equal to. So all these the same or I have, okay? One equal sign is just assigning value to a variable. If I have here this double equal sign, you need to be careful. It's equal to. Otherwise, if I have only one, it means that I'm assigning in this case. So you can see double, so it's fine. And that only means like it's equal to, okay? So when I also these I use like two equal signs, I'm asking a question, okay? Is it equal to this, or it can also be not equal to? It could be like in the case or in the context of a question, okay? That's also possible. It's used for comparison. This is the main like use in our session for today, and it's like not limited to just int or float, okay? You will see later we can even use it for strings and so on, okay? Now, for example, we're having now the comparison operators example. I'm going to create like, let's go for, I was already opening my PyCharm, and we are going to create a new script, okay? And it's a Python like script. I'm going to call it, for example, comparison, okay? Okay, it's a comparison.py file, okay? And by the way, when I share the codes, like you find the video lecture, you find the slides, you also find something I call code. So this code is mainly that I give you access to these scripts or codes that I'm writing during the session. So whether you are following me line by line, you're typing by yourself, you can probably use it also to copy paste and so on, but it's mainly to facilitate your learning experience, okay? So now what we are going to do is we are going to create some variables, okay? X and Y, for example, and we are going to give them or assign values to these variables. For example, one of them is going to be 2 and the other one is going to be 5. Which is 2, which is 5, I was telling you this like last time, we do respect the order, okay? So X here is equal to 2 because it's coming first. Then the second one, which is Y, is equal to 5, excuse me. So this is mainly the idea. Also, I can use this hash for typing, for example, commands, and I can say that X is equal to 2 and like Y is equal to 5, just to clarify. Otherwise, I can even delete it. Just I'm trying to make you remember the concept of this like commenting. Okay, we are good with this assignment. So we did that so far, and we're understanding this. We can also, by the way, do it in two separate lines, which means I can write in first line X equal to 2, and then I come back to the second line and I write Y is equal to 5. This is also possible, and it's mainly the same thing, okay? Now what are we going to do is that we are going to try what we learned so far, which is the double, when we have the equal sign written twice or double. So what can we do in this case? And I mentioned it compares like variables. So I maybe want to ask if equal x, I would say equal, then another equal to y. So here what I'm asking is, we're printing twice because I used the tab so far, but it's fine, we are good. Now I am asking in this case, is x equal to y? Okay, so I will run and I will see what it gives me. So mainly it's giving me false, okay? False means what? Means x is not equal to y, okay? So this is the idea, and here in this case, if we are comparing, the result, it's whether it gives you true or it gives you false. There is no other way, or it can give you error, by the way, if you are forgetting something, and we will go through tips like to not have errors or how to solve them in this case, okay? So mainly Python in this case is telling us false, which means that X and Y are not equal, okay? Now, if I am going to have them both, like for example, equal to 2 or to 5 or to any other like number, and I'm going to run my code again. So what we have in here, so the false is changing so far. So we have true now. So which means that X, yes, it's equal to Y, which means yes, I'm saying yes, because the answer to the question is equal is yes. So here we have the yes or no, and we're going to just go far with this idea today, okay? Just try to understand the concept of Booleans and how to manipulate them, okay? Now, so what can happen? Probably if I keep here only one equal size. Let's try this case, and I'm going to run. And so what I can get here is I am getting an error, okay? So mainly the error, there is a problem. So it's not understanding how come I am trying to assign the value, but so you understand here is a difference between when you write X equal to something. So here you are giving the value of Y to X within the print, which is making the problem, and this is not what we want. And when we use the double like equal sign, both like two equal signs, so in this case, it's just a question and there is no errors at all. So this is mainly the idea of Boolean. So here it's yes or no. It's answering your question, okay? So you will see almost, or probably if you had previous programming classes, mainly this is all is almost in all programming languages. So now if I want like if two numbers are not equal, okay, so it's simple. Just instead of this two like double like signs, probably double equal sign, I can change them and mention like not equal. It happens like with that exclamation point. Just 1 second. French. French keyboard is not working well for me. But let's try with the English one. The quality much more better. It's not helpful for programming, but for recording the videos, I am using this. Okay. So finally, now if I have this reads like is equal to, and this reads like for not equal to. So here, let's just try to print, and this is false. So saying that X is not equal to Y is false, because here they have the same value and they are equal. So the answer of true is for X is equal to Y, okay? So this is mainly the idea. We can also keep asking things like if like I assign some which is greater, or probably we can keep it like before, one of them is 5. And in this case, we can, for example, for example, print less is greater, or X is greater or less than Y. So for example, X is less, 2 less than 5, that's true. This is why we're having true in here. X is greater than Y, no, that's true. That's not true, so 2 is not greater than 5. This is why we're having this false in here. So mainly we can like have, in all cases for all these questions, I would say, the answer is a Boolean here, the type. So it's whether a yes or no, okay? So mainly you can try this on your own, and you can use different like ideas. And so I want to start to make you familiar with the Boolean logic. You can find this probably in the different assignments that I'm going to share with you later, okay? So let's move on and go through. There are like, I would say, different examples. Just let me make this Wait, ta-da. So this is another example. So now what you may ask is, we were already dealing with numbers, and you can ask if I can do that for strings. So can I compare two strings? For example, here I have X and Y are not having or I'm not assigning the data type is number anymore. I probably can have it string. So can we do it or not? Yes, the answer, it's easily you can do that, and you can try doing that. Just we are going to change the X and Y with string. Okay, and you know that for string we can whether use the double quote or the single quote, and we can have these outputs. So probably I can come back to PyCharm in here, and I can just copy all this code, just go to try to make some commands. So when you are going to just have my code, I would say, okay, it's completely different. The Azerty and QWERTY, they are, I don't know if you have experienced working with Azerty. So if you are working with Azerty, then moving with QWERTY, then you're coming back to the Azerty one. Then it's a huge, but that's okay. So I would say we are moving from numbers to variables, type string. So I would say hi. Oops. What's going on today? Okay, hi. And here we're having another hi. Hi, hola. Okay, hi. I think it's so smart hearing me talking about languages. So now let's try to run this code. Probably we're going to keep only the first part and run this code. So, yep, these two strings I am just giving in here for X and Y are the same, and this is why I'm having the value true, okay? And we can do all the other comparisons, okay? I'm keeping you the results for these executions in the slide, and you can try this by yourself as well. And now let me try to explain something. So this example, okay. So, yep. I'm going to explain how probably it is working or how data is represented, how we are moving from numbers to the, I would say, strings representation, okay? So as now we can compare two strings like the two hello like we've seen so far, or two hi, or you can write, for example, by the way, you can write hello or hi in the capital H, or you can write in the little h, and you will see if you will try to change the H to the capital, it can make some errors. It's not the same. So why? Probably you can ask that question also. So it's due to this representation or hierarchy of the data in Python. So I can compare two strings, like I would say hello and there, for example. And what Python is referencing in this case is what we call the ASCII code, because every string or is represented by given a code, and this code is known as the ASCII code, okay? And this is not something I'm expecting you to memorize, okay? Each letter, I would say, for example, you have the letters here. So each letter is having kind of a code, and I would say for hello or hi, it starts with a little h. So mainly how it's like 108, or for example, for the letter L, hello, E, for example, before that, you have 101, and so on. It's like this way it is represented. So it takes the first character, and in my word hello, for example, the first character is H, and then it checks in this table what is the code for this H. And by the way, when I say H, I need to insist that it's a lowercase h, because if I have an uppercase H, probably I can have a different number for representing that, okay? Which is 72, for example, okay? So This is how it is comparing the, like if I'm giving high and high, it's taking the first H from the first high, then the first H from my second high, and it's checking in this table the numbers. It's telling that it's 104, then it's saying 104 is equal or not to 104, and then if yes, this is how you are finally seeing that in your screen. Okay, so this is the idea of comparing these two numbers. So and this is how mainly it works in the backend. Okay, and it does this character by character. So when you compare these two strings, so this is what exactly is going on. And I am I'm not expecting you to memorize this or to learn this table, not at all. I'm just showing you how Python represents letter. Okay, so next, this is the probably hello there example, and how it works. As I'm mentioning, it goes for age, checks here the number, the code 104, then it goes to the there, and then here, for example, we have the T, and then for the T, for example, it has 116, and from here it can start comparing them. Okay, so we can still run all this in the end. Just you can try this hello there, and for example, we did already high. Let's just try to this one, run this one. So probably we'll have hello, and we'll have there. And so you will see that for the first example, it's as the H and T having different ASCII codes. So this is why it's comparing, and this is how it's giving you at the end the value false. Okay, so mainly this I for you, and you can even try to go through all these examples. We can even we check between hello and Heather, as both of them here, they start with a he. Okay, so we can try that. So what is happening is that it's checking the H, so the same, checking the E, it's the same. I would say checking the E means that's going back to that table, checking the ASCII code for that for both. Okay, then when checking the ASCII code of L and A, then we are finding this difference. This is why you are having here the equal is false, the not equal is true, and so on. And the greater here, it's mainly because the ASCII code is greater. Okay, for example, the X, for the hello, I mean. Okay, so this is how it works, and this is the main concept. Just let's move on to the next slide. These are different examples, so I invite you to just try to play with, and this is kind of an introduction to the Boolean logic. Okay, so we are going to focus with the Boolean logic in the next video. And so I think this for today, it's for this video, it's more than enough.